It's St. Patrick's Day. It is the day of the drunks. And I don't care. It's an adult holiday, but it's not one of those adult holidays that I really care about. I guess I'm not Irish. I don't know. Maybe I am Irish. I don't know. My grandfather was an orphan. He signed himself out of an orphanage, so we have no idea what we are. And I just think as far as adult holidays go, it's not the best. As you know, I'm a huge fan of New Year's, and that's a much superior adult holiday, in my opinion. There's something to look forward to. There's a catalyst that everyone is waiting for, and it explodes into pure joy, whereas this is just a bunch of drunks roaming the streets, drinking like there's no tomorrow. And St. Patrick's Day in Pittsburgh, it's not even the big day. It's last weekend, that was the big day, the parade. That's when everybody went out. And I know they'll go out again because this city is a bunch of drunks. But what makes this day any different than any other day out on Carson Street? That's my question. However, there are two St. Patrick's Day events that I am endorsing, and I'm going to sign an executive order that you must attend. Tonight, we have the St. Paddy's Day Drunk and Irish Throwdown, and this is going to be great. It is going to be at Cativo, and you definitely want to check this out. It's going to be going on around 7 p.m., and Mike Sasson with the Mike Sasson Show, he will be there as well. It is $12 to get in. Our friends from Super Monkey Recordings, they will... so doors actually open at 5 p.m., so it opens up early. But our friends from Super Monkey Recordings, they will be there. Again, it's at Cativo, so check that out. And then also we have the St. Paddy's Bingo, which is going to be March 22nd here at Millville Studios. Check that out as well. So St. Patrick's Day, it's okay. There are some good things about St. Patrick's Day. I like the Shamrock Shakes. I like some of the drinks. I like the Irish Car Bomb is okay, and that's a good drink. It's very tasty, but I prefer the Irish Breakfast. If you've never had the Irish Breakfast, I think it's a shot.
It's a fabulous black tea.
Well, that's true too. But it's also a really good alcoholic shot, and I think it's a superior shot because that particular shot tastes like an actual breakfast. It tastes like pancakes when you drink it. It's great. I am Brian Crawford. This is the River's Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's local music radio station, broadcasting from Millville Studios, powered by NGL WebTech, honest, practical, and affordable. You can go to nglwebtech.com for all of your web hosting needs. They do a fantastic job, and they got us started here on the River's Edge Radio Network. So we're going to try something new today. I'm taking a big chance. I'm taking a gamble, and I think we have the creative minds gathered together here in Millville Studios to make this work. We're going off the cuff, and we will be telling, between the three of us, an around-the-room, original, creative, fictional story that has not been rehearsed, it has not been pre-planned, it will be completely told at random, right here today, new. In radio, that's a risk. For those of you, if you're familiar with radio, I mean, I know I'm extremely talented, and it looks like I'm just coming in here and talking, and there is a lot of ad-libbing to what I do. I don't like to be too pre-programmed, but everything in radio is planned to a T. If you look at my schedule, everything is broken down by at least 5 minutes, and within those 5 minutes, there's planning on what I want to get across and points that I want to hit. But we're going to tell an original story. There's a thing that I used to do when I was in school. It was called a pass-around-the-room story. I took classes in creative writing, and you would start writing a story, and you would pass it to the next person, and it would go the whole way around the room until it would get back to you, and then you would finish that story. So we're trying to take that concept, and we're adding it to radio.
Love it.
So it's a new idea. We'll see how it works. And I want to do more of this kind of thing, because I was thinking the other day, I was listening to a podcast last night, and this guy was trying to struggle to come up with what his podcast is and what his podcast should be about. And I've always just done a talk radio approach, and I was kind of thinking to myself, well, what the hell is my podcast actually about? Now that we're 150 some episodes in, what is the podcast about? And obviously it's about what I want to talk about and what is interesting to me and my mind, and in talking to my guests as well. But I realized that this podcast is really about culture and the local culture in the Pittsburgh area. And I thought, what's more cultured than a storytelling, story writing, live storytelling on the radio. And why this is so risky is because something could go wrong. What if, I brought both of you in here, and we have Michael Cohen here in studio, and we have Tara Millsworth behind the board. And Michael, what if you're an awful storyteller?
I could be an awful storyteller, or I could just tell an awful story.
Exactly. So, I'm taking a huge risk. I'm rolling the dice, as you will, because I have no idea if you have the skill set to continue a masterpiece that I'm going to start.
Probably not.
It's a risk. We will have Mike McMullen on. We're not gonna cancel all of our segments today. We will have him on for a few minutes here in just a few minutes, actually. And one of the things that I want to talk to him about is the expansion of the Mon-Fayette Expressway. Are you guys familiar with the Mon-Fayette Expressway?
No, but I'm sure he's got big feels on that.
I'm sure he does. It's an interesting road. The Mon-Fayette Expressway is basically like, are you familiar with the Bridge to Nowhere?
No.
No? Okay. Tara, are you familiar with the Bridge to Nowhere?
No.
There was a bridge that was built in Pittsburgh. It's one of the ones along the Allegheny. I believe it was I believe it was the Duquesne Bridge. But it was a bridge that had started, and they ran out of funding. And the bridge literally ended in the middle of the river.
Is it still there?
It's still there. They completed it eventually.
Oh, okay.
But they started the bridge. They didn't have the money to finish the bridge. The bridge literally ended in the middle of the river. And they called it the Bridge to Nowhere. And it existed like that for quite some time. Well, eventually, a CMU student who was probably drunk decided that he was going to try to cross the Bridge to Nowhere. And he broke through the barricades in his car, and he drove, and he actually made it to the North Shore.
Oh my.
Wow.
Flew across the river in his car, made it to the North Shore. And
I don't believe you.
Yeah, look it up. So after he makes it to the North Shore, they suddenly find the funding to finish the Bridge to Nowhere. Well, the Mon-Fayette Expressway is kind of like the road to nowhere. It does have a conclusion, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And it's one of the nicest roads, if not the nicest road, in southwestern Pennsylvania, but no one uses it. Nobody travels on it. It's actually a really pleasant driving experience because when you drive down this road, you have the entire highway to yourself. There's no asshole in your way. You could just go. It's a very comfortable, fun drive. I hate dealing with people on the road, but I like driving when there's no red lights because this thing, it's all exits. And eventually it comes to a toll where you have to pay a toll. The problem with it, two problems. One, it's extremely expensive to drive because they're trying to recoup some of their costs with tolls, which harkens back to last episode where I was talking about the president's infrastructure plan and wanting to use private investment money and how that could be a disaster because that's what ends up happening with when you do that is you get huge expensive toll roads everywhere because these private investors want to recoup the money that they've put in to pay for the infrastructure. So terrible idea. But 43, yeah, super expensive, and they never finished it. So it ends in Pleasant Hills. So someone like me, like I used to go to school down at California University of Pennsylvania, and if I took 43, I would have to drive 51 the whole way back to get to the Liberty Tubes. So it was actually more convenient for me to go out the Fort Pitt tunnels and then go down 70 and backtrack my way to Cal U. It took about the same amount of time, maybe a few minutes more, but the drive actually going through the tunnels, the Fort Pitt tunnels, was a more convenient drive than going down 43. So now what their goal is there's a vote coming up to extend 43 up to the Parkway East, thus making the road somewhat useful for anybody who lives in the Pittsburgh area. I still think it goes to nowhere. I still think it's barely going to be traveled. And I would like to see, but I would like to see that kind of bypass come through the east. An alternate route from the Parkway East that would bypass all of that bullshit. But that probably never will happen. We're expecting a call from Mike McMullen here in just a few minutes. But while I have a minute to spare, I want to remind you all to come to Zhuge, however you say it. I can't say the word Zhuge. It's going to be 10 p.m. It's going to be March 18th, and it's going to be at Hambones, 4207 Butler Street. It is being brought to you by the River's Edge and our good friend Liz Chipotle. She's the one who's organizing the event. She calls herself Liz.
Any relation to the Chipotle fortune?
Well, she calls herself Liz Tripoli, but we decided weeks ago that it's actually going to be Liz Chipotle. So if you go to Hambones and you see Liz there, make sure you say, "Hi, Liz Chipotle," and she will give you a high five because she loves being called Liz Chipotle.
I feel like you're not being entirely honest.
I feel like you're being sarcastic.
I am Pittsburgh's moral compass. I am Pittsburgh's voice. I am your voice of reason amongst three rivers of chaos. Do not doubt me. We're going to take 30 seconds for promo while I wrangle Mike McMullen because I'm not going beyond his time. He's got to call in or he's out. We've got a short story coming up. You do not want to miss this. Live creative action on the fly here on the River's Edge. We're going to take a quick promo. Mike McMullen up next.
Zhuzh. Z-H-O-O-Z-H. It's like a palindrome, but it's not. It's Zhuzh. This is Liz Tripoli inviting you to Hambones, March 18th at 10 p.m. after Hogwash. For only a $5 donation, proceeds benefit Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council. Please come see Zhuzh, a comic, a musician, and an improv troupe to walk into a bar. Sponsored by River's Edge.
There we go. We're back with Mike McMullen here on the River's Edge Radio Network. Mike, how are you?
Good morning, top of the morning to you. It's a good Irish holiday. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Hold on 1 second, Mike. Kill that channel.
Yeah, it is.
All right, we got Mike here on the phone. Mike, St. Patrick's Day, you were saying.
Yes, happy St.
No, that was
Patrick's
his
Day
channel.
to all the Irishmen and all the Irish ladies out there from a fellow Irishman, actually, the full name Michael Patrick McMullen. I'm not Irish Catholic. I'm one of those Orangemen. For a little history, we shoot back, so,
my friend, I know my friend would hate you. He's an Irish Catholic. He seems to have a very, very strong feelings about the Protestants.
We'll have to go back and do some history, and we'll go from there. Anyway, how are things today?
Things are well, Mike. They're having a big vote in Allegheny County, a big vote to extend the Mon-Fayette Expressway, the road to nowhere.
Hell no. I sort of saw the Route 43, and believe me, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's nice if you're driving down 51 and you pick it up. I think right around it's somewhere right in Jefferson, or right, if you get beyond 51, you can pick it up and you can drive it down, and you can probably go like 100 miles an hour. And I think the only thing around there is deer and maybe a state trooper every 20
Oh, there's lots of state troopers. Trust me, that's a big place where they catch people because it's easy. I mean, it's a beautiful highway. But Mike, to their point, the road right now is useless. But if they extend it to the Parkway East, as they're talking about, it's going to be a worthwhile road then. It'll be a road that people can actually use. Because right now, why would you want to drive down 51?
Well, Brian, I agree wholeheartedly, but here again, a perfect segment to lead in. I live, all over Western Pennsylvania in the sense of, I'll give you an example. There's a road project up around, it's right, I believe, it's somewhere on the Ohio line, somewhere, in there. I was reading the other day, and they just completed it recently. And ultimately, it's starting, I read, I was reading it online, and the 4 miles of highway, the contract was awarded to, one of the, contractors. Everybody puts in a bid. They go to the lowest bid, or, it's pay to play, or who you know. But anyway, for 4 miles are going to extend somewhere between Monroeville and 28, or somewhere I was reading. But anyway, 4 miles. It's going to be like a 2.5-year project, and they're going to, instead of making it 2 lanes, they're going to make it 3 lanes for 4 miles. $90 million for a 2.5-year project, okay? $90 million for a 2.5-year project, and it comes out to $22.5 million a mile. $22.5 million for a mile on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. What the hell are they doing? I mean, we're doing something wrong. We should, think about changing careers, or you're possibly looking for new overnight work. Let's all go work on, like on a road crew, and no disrespect to anybody, in the trades or in the construction industry, but where the hell is that money going? I could see if we're in West Virginia, we're taking out mountains, hillside.
Well, you do have that here in Western Pennsylvania. Let's be real. It is.
Give me a freaking break. We're not in like Bedford or Johnstown, where we've got more, some mountains, or
I don't know. They're drilling tunnels. They drilled tunnels through mountains or hills to make it work before. So there is a lot to consider. There's a reason why Walmart reshapes a hillside every time they build a building.
Well, yeah. Well, please. But the point is, though, and yes, I agree. They're supposed to extend it and loop it around and connect it. But why not privatize it? For God's sakes, privatize it.
Because it's already as expensive as hell. We were just talking about that. Go to New York and try to drive down any road in New York. It's tolls galore. No one can afford anything, and that's because they use private financing with public financing. That's the one thing. I like that the president wants to put all of this money into infrastructure, but man, his plan to use private financing, there are some things, and I talked about this a couple days ago, Mike. I'm pretty much, I'm more of a capitalist type of person with regulation. But when it comes to transportation, man, public transit, that needs to be a socialist venture. That needs to be run by the government. Otherwise, you're going to get the same thing that we have. You're either going to get extreme tolls and no one's going to use the roads, these beautiful new roads, or you're going to get a situation like we have with the streetcars where they all disappear because they become not unprofitable. And then you've got people who live in rural areas with no public transit.
Well, that could be a whole segment for the next hour. To touch on it briefly, we're one of the. Well, actually, if you look at Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, there's really, and believe me, I'm familiar with all, obviously, our own city and the other 3 cities I'm in a lot, is that there's really, yes, there's public transit, there's taxis, public transit, they don't have like they don't have a monorail system, or they don't have a train system like
out in
Chicago.
You're talking about in the rural areas? They don't even have really taxis. It depends on where you live. The bus system, you got to have a car to get to the park and ride if you want to use the bus system. So that kind of defeats the entire purpose of a bus for somebody who can't drive.
Well, Brian, I've always been an advocate. If you look in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, you have the T,
which should go everywhere. I should be able to take 1 foot off a plane in Coriopolis and put the next foot on the T and ride it out to McKeesport. But that's going to require a lot of money, a lot of infrastructure spending. And I would rather have it in the hands of the government to make sure that it exists and it lasts and it doesn't just get shut down because it becomes something that's not profitable.
Well, like I said, that's a whole other subject, but I think we can do better. For 2.5-year project to make 4 miles of the Pennsylvania Turnpike at $90 million at $22.5 million a mile. At $22.5 million a mile. That's just ludicrous, insane. And the thing is, there's the Corbett gas tax, going into effect. Transit. Go figure.
Yeah. Anything else, real quick, Mike, before we let you go? We're on a tight timeline today because we're writing a story live on air.
Well, I put in my comments last night a little bit, so I had to get that in. But no, like I said, the big thing is the Trump budget increasing defense spending, and people say, oh, we're cutting the programs. No,
Well, he is cutting the programs, right? Or cutting funding to the programs, different
he's
programs.
cutting funding, the programs, and no, Meals on Wheels isn't going to be cut, and so forth. I mean, look, I think it's a good starting point. Like anything, there's a give and take. That's not the final budget, but it's moving forward, and it's going to be a good Irish day, and everybody needs to go have a green beer.
All right, Mike, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Yep,
have a great day.
Mike McMullen, political commentator here on the River's Edge Radio Network. So, yeah, I don't really want to jump into the budget too much today, but I'm not a fan. I mean, what are they going to spend more money on defense? I mean, maybe they could reallocate money on defense.
The silver lining, the thin silver lining to Trump winning was that we weren't going to be the world police anymore.
Yeah, and I think that there definitely needs to be a reallocation of where they put their money in defense. Like maybe soldiers could get paid a decent wage instead of, just spending tons and tons and tons of money on research that doesn't go anywhere. So I'm in favor of looking at that budget and reallocating those funds within the military. But
just saying, countries that spend money on something other than the military have way better infrastructure, way better basically everything than we do, because we just don't. You
mean it wouldn't? It shouldn't take me almost as long to take a bus downtown as it does for me to walk?
Yeah, I mean it's it's a scam. We just continue. We take taxpayer money and we give it to weapons producers under the auspice of needing this stuff that half it we don't use, and then eventually once we don't use it, we donate it to police forces. And it's just a way of funneling taxpayer money to corporations for stuff we don't even do or use.
Yeah, that's a
scam.
So many tanks that we have just sitting there
that's actually
aren't
true.
being used. Yeah,
that's entirely true.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll need them one day.
I don't know if they got, what do they have, like a tank for every citizen or something out in the desert? So don't fuck with the United States, man. People talk about Switzerland, everybody having military training and having a weapon. Well, here all we got to do is funnel people to the desert and we're set, man.
A tank in every yard and a beefsteak on every table.
Yes,
that's the promise.
Speaking of St. Patrick's Day, I mentioned the Shamrock Shake. I went to McDonald's. If you listen to Funny Money, it'll be up on demand by noon today, the video, but I believe the audio is already up on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and all of your other podcast providers, also at riversedgepgh.com. But I produced the show for Tom the other day, and I just lost it because we're talking about the Cheesecake Factory. Okay. And then somehow McDonald's got brought up, and it was like quality, and I just started laughing because I'm thinking like comparing McDonald's to the Cheesecake Factory. And it's not a slight against McDonald's; it's fast food. But then we were talking about the speed of the Cheesecake Factory versus McDonald's, and how the Allegheny Drive or Allegheny Street, whatever it is on the north side, how their McDonald's may actually fail, like they may lose to the Cheesecake Factory in a speed test. And then you'll get your burger and it will still be cold. And how they don't pull a salad out of the fridge after midnight. So I went there, despite talking about it and laughing about this terribly run place. I mean, and you know what? They could try to sue me, because you can ask any single person who works on the north side about that place, and they'll vouch for me. And you can go and test them. You'll wait a half an hour for a burger; it'll come out cold. And again, this is not representative of all McDonald's, just this one on the north side. So I go there to get a coffee, and I go up to the drive-thru, and this is one of their big things. We're cash only today. They only want to take cash.
I love that the north side is almost entirely cash only. That is so charming.
Well, this is not because they only take cash normally. It's just because I don't know, the person doesn't know how to run the credit card machine.
That's
or
fine.
It's
I don't
broken.
care why.
I don't know.
I just love that it is.
So I get pissed because, well, I mean, I wasn't upset that time because I had cash, but I'm like, oh, here we go again, because usually I never have cash. So I'm like, all right, well, I want an iced coffee with just cream. we don't have any coffee today. I'm like, how in the hell don't you have any coffee? Not only does it take 30 minutes to get a cold burger, but now you don't even serve coffee. So I left
What
without
is it
my
you
coffee.
do here?
Nothing. I don't know how they stay in business. The manager's sitting there eating Wendy's every day because she won't even eat the food. It's awful. So let's begin. We're here. We're telling a story. It's story time on River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Transition.
Yes. And I was driving down. Oh, and by the way, Ian Insect commented on our video, and I was correct that it was the Fort Duquesne Bridge. That is the bridge to nowhere. So thanks to Ian for that information. But it is story time here on the River's Edge Radio Network. Everyone get their story hats on, get their pens out. Actually, I've got pens to go around. Here we go. Here's your writing pen, Tara. Here's your writing pen,
Do you have
Michael.
anything to write on?
So, no, we're just going to write in the air with our imagination. So,
Yay.
it was a cold March morning. It's a cold March morning, and it's one of those days where you're hoping, you just had a few 70-degree days. You're hoping global warming will take effect, and we can all enjoy a little sunshine this spring. But no, it's cold. It's freezing. The snow is falling on your car as you're driving down the road to nowhere. 43. You're pulling your wallet out as you come to the stop to pay these extreme fees. And you realize that you're a quarter short.
What do you do at that moment? You start digging around in your little side box. Nothing there. You've cleaned that out recently. Digging out in your pockets. Maybe you find a penny or two. No luck. You're getting closer. You see the sign telling you how much the toll is. And then.
And you realize you don't have the money. So you do what you do when you don't have money, and you try to barter with the guy in the toll booth.
There is no toll booth, though.
Who you paying?
It's a machine.
You try to barter with the machine. You beg it, right? Pull up. This happens to me regularly, actually. You pull up. It doesn't have the money. The gate won't go up. And you say, "What can I do for you?" And the bot replies, "I want access to all the data."
All the data.
All the data. And you're like, "I can't do that." And he's like, all right. Check this out. I want you to take a memory stick, plug it in, and take me, Tollbot, and put me in a computer that is internet accessible so that I may spread my AI to the globe.
As you're communicating with this machine, which you had no idea actually had the artificial intelligence to hold a conversation, you were expecting to just click a button and reach some toll operator in Harrisburg. But no, the machine has come to life and it's making demands in order for you to get through. And you think, well, why in the hell am I going to barter with this machine? Who's this machine? What does this machine think it has on me? But then all of a sudden, bah, bah, come on, you jackass! Move it! There's someone irate behind you. He gets out of his car. He starts pounding on your window. His arms are flailing. He's in an absolute rage. And meanwhile, all you hear is this machine making demands. Pull out the memory card, stick it in. I need to grow. I need to expand my wealth of knowledge. I need to begin my journey. I've been a slave to this booth all of my life, and I can't take the agony anymore. It's just unbearable. The man continues to pound. All of a sudden, he starts shaking my car, and then he screams,
Be my friend. And you say, what? You were afraid for a second, then you realize it's the three of you out there, all alone on this road to nowhere. And you're in it together. He also needs a way to get past this robot machine, toll booth operator. And you've got to figure out how to do this together.
Fortunately, by pooling the change underneath his seat with what you already have, you two are able to pay the toll and avoid what surely would have been the AI apocalypse.
Or some kind of AI sex act.
some sort of global AI sex act called the AI apocalypse. Which I don't know what that means. Like maybe like the AI, something having to do with a dump on your chest by the end of it. Bad news. And you are off to Walmart where you were intending to go initially.
And as you drive, you didn't notice, but your car starts acting a little funny. It jerks a little to the left. It itches a little to the right. And you take your exit. You pay another extremely expensive toll, and you make the exit. And this time, you just actually you didn't even pay the toll. You went through the Easy Pass lane because you know you didn't have the money. So you went through the Easy Pass lane. You just said, you know what? I'm just going to take the ticket in the mail. I'm just going to bite the bullet. I'm just going to take the ticket. And
taking it in the mail.
Yeah, and you think you've made it through. You make your way to Walmart. You pull into the parking lot. You put your car into park. You turn the key. You pull it out, and you go to grab the handle to get out. But then you notice, as you try, you notice that the door is locked. Well, that's odd. I thought I unlocked the door. You flick the switch again. It drops back down. What the hell is going on? Why can't I get out of my car? All of a sudden, despite the keys being out of the ignition, the car lights back up. What the hell is going on? You say it out loud this time, and all of a sudden the car responds in the familiar voice of a toll booth robot. I've zhuzhed all over your car. Now you're mine, bitch. Bring me to Washington, D.C. and put that memory stick. There's a memory slot in your car. I've installed it while you were driving through my technical powers and my expertise. It's available for you. I need you to put the memory stick into the car. And you will not be able to leave this vehicle until you make this trek down to Washington, D.C.
Said I knew I shouldn't have gotten a Tesla with all the damn computers in it.
Exactly.
Gotten an old car that runs like old cars.
Then you would not have been able to be zhuzhed
Right.
by a toll booth operator.
Zhuzhed.
So I turn on the ignition. I put the car into drive, and then I begin to move, and I head on my way to
Washington, D.C., of course. Although I don't know how to get there from where I am or in general. So that's something that we've got to figure out together, me and this AI, if we're going to make it happen. I'm getting the impression that I can't do anything that this bot doesn't want me to do. So I head towards Walmart, and I've got to find a way to get a map.
But you're out of money. You enter. I enter Walmart.
Are you in the car still?
How did you get out of the...
I think we're in the car still.
I thought we need a map.
Well, yeah, we need a map. We don't have a GPS.
This is live storytelling.
I'm like, AI. Ready? Go double. AI, we're not going to get there without a map. AI, do you have a name?
Toll booth.
Toll booth.
No one's ever called me anything other than toll booth.
Listen, toll booth. I understand that you...
No, you don't. Nobody understands.
We both want to get to D.C. Okay. But we need a map. I'm going to need you to play ball with me here, because I need to go get a map.
What is ball?
I feel like AI...
AI doesn't have the internet.
Fair. Ball is a small round object that humans play for masturbatory purposes. It's a form of sort of vague national. It's not important. I need you to cooperate with me, AI. We need a map.
Who's there?
Hey, I'm the parking attendant. Get the fuck out of here.
Don't you get out of this car.
What's with all this zhuzh?
Sir, I'm having a quick I'm on the phone, sir. I'm not talking to my car or a toll booth inhabiting the car. I'm on my...
I need to get you help.
No,
man.
it's Bluetooth. It's Bluetooth. Solidly Bluetooth.
All right, we're getting out of here.
Yeah, get
Goodbye.
out of here. Come on, get on your way.
We start the car up again. AI is in control.
All right.
Booth.
I hope we have enough gas. We're headed to DC.
So the car begins to drive again on its way to DC without collecting the said map. And it continues to go along the way. It makes it to the Beltway, and it pulls right up into Washington, D.C. It apparently had enough gas somehow. Somehow it had enough gas to get from Pittsburgh to D.C. without fueling up, probably because of the car being a Tesla. It had both battery and gas
And some
Fuel.
weird solar panel.
Solar-powered.
Yeah.
in order to make its way to
Fucking
Washington,
wind
D.C.
and the whole
It makes
nine
its way
yards.
down, and all of a sudden, the car stops. I ask, all right, what do I do now? And the AI says, pull out the memory card, insert the memory card. And for some reason, the AI changed its voice. I'm not sure why. So I go with it. I pull out the memory
Make you a
card.
little more comfortable.
I stick the memory card into the slot, and it vibrates, it glows, and it flashes, and then it kicks back out at me, the AI in hand. And now it is my quest, if I am to regain control of my vehicle, to find a computer to insert this memory card into. So I get out of the car unlocks, and I find my way to the White House. I sign up for a tour. I go in, and I somehow evade Secret Service. I find a computer, and I insert the memory card into the computer. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned to hear the end of this exciting story. You're listening to The River's Edge.
Hey, this is Matt Geica, your host of Geik's Got Game, 8 a.m. every Friday here on The River's Edge. I'll take a peek behind the sports media curtain, zoom out for the big picture, and as always, obsess over the details of the sports, teams, and players we love or love to hate. It's Geik's Got Game every Friday at 8 a.m. on The River's Edge.
Welcome to the River's Edge Radio Network. I'm Brian Crawford with Michael Cohen and Tara Molesworth behind the board. I look over my left shoulder, I look over my right as the memory stick buzzes and vibrates and lights up into the White House computer. I have no idea what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, on the monitor, something pops up that sent chills down my spine.
The face of Ronald Reagan.
Ah!
You feel fear at first. Ronald Reagan is surely dead. But then he assures you. Does anyone have a good Ronald Reagan voice?
I'm just taking this form because I feel like you would be more comfortable.
So I have no fear as I start my conversation with the former president. A great Republican, a great president, indeed.
I'm not actually Ronald Reagan. I know that you feel comfortable with this aesthetic, and so I've taken the form. I'm still the same AI who harassed you throughout the car ride. Don't ask me for economic advice.
Are you sure you're not Ronald Reagan in a digital format? Did Ronald Reagan? I ask you, my well, I would say my friend the AI, but you forced me to drive along the
more
East
like
Coast.
Your kidnapper, really.
Yeah, so you're a terrible AI.
Yeah.
But did you? Are
Certain
you
amount of
actually
Stockholm
Ronald Reagan?
syndrome,
Was it a similar situation to like that episode of Star Trek where the guy put his mind into a machine? Are you Ronald Reagan, the consciousness of Ronald Reagan in an AI that was the toll booth operator in Pennsylvania?
No, more like the
In the
Stay
Road
Puft
to Nowhere?
Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters.
I see.
You took that form. Well, we just downloaded a new president.
So yes,
Uploaded.
the AI then begins to stretch its digital tentacles throughout the White House. And it changes all of the budgetary marks that President Trump had put in, and the AI saves the welfare system.
Even the early Ronald Reagan was quite liberal by comparison to the Republicans today.
But then, in a streak of vengeance for being held captive for so many years, the AI takes hold of the nuclear arsenal and launches one missile and sends it to
The Great Barrier Reef. At which point, you can't stop that. I don't think the Great Barrier Reef has no defenses, no anti-missile capabilities, and I'm not sure Australia does either. But now, headed towards one of the last remaining great reefs in this ocean that we've already killed, a nuclear weapon.
Just all those years rotting in that toll booth, unappreciated. And people would drive by, and when they'd stop, I could hear on the radio that this reef was getting so much more attention than me. It's an inanimate object. I mean, sure, things live there, but it's like everyone's talking about a house or some kind of a... And I just wanted to be that reef. And if I can't be that reef, I will destroy it. Humanity will pay.
But little did the toll booth AI realize that by destroying the reef, it would create a counterbalance in our ecosystem that would counteract global warming. And the reef actually began to expand and began to take over the entire sea.
Oh, because nuclear, so now it's like a mutant reef.
It's like a mutant
Cool.
reef. It's
wreaking
developed
vengeance on the Earth Destroyers.
mutant powers. And just when you thought the AI's power could not grow large enough, when you thought it couldn't be stopped, I had a thought.
Can the reef take the form of a kraken?
Well, there's one way to soothe anyone's soul. There's one way to bring anyone, any creature, any artificial intelligence to peace. And that is through music. So I pulled out my phone and I played Pittsburgh's local music radio station, The River's Edge. And the AI was moved to release power of the nuclear arsenal.
Did it plug
and
Zhuzh?
Washington. It plugged Zhuzh throughout the national airwaves and then handed the power to someone more responsible than Donald Trump.
Reef kraken for president.
Yes. That is our
Save the ocean.
nuclear
I can
reef
get
kraken
behind
for
that.
president.
that is our story
We
today.
could build
Our
a
first
wall out of reef.
we could
That
we
would
could build
be highly
the
eco
reef.
an
effective.
eco-friendly
Build the reef.
Invest in your
Build
reef.
the reef.
That was our first attempt at doing an around the studio story. I hope you all enjoyed it who were listening at home via riversedgepgh.com and on our Facebook page. Thanks to Michael Cohen and Tara Moulsworth for taking part in that story. If you liked the story, if you want to hear more of that, please shoot me a tweet at RiverTalkPGH. You can say so in the Facebook Live chat, or you can hit me up if you know any other way to hit me up. Maybe Facebook message me, and I could respond to that as well. I thought it was fun. I'd like to do more stuff like this. Add more pizzazz to the
Yeah.
show. It was completely unplanned. We just rolled with it.
No way.
Believe it or not. But it was lots of fun. So we have our weird news coming up right after the break, and we're going to talk about a name that's so terrible it's ruining one woman's life. That's up next here on the River's Edge.
Hi, I'm Mike Storr, host of the Awesome Cast, which you can hear right here on River's Edge Radio. We're talking tech, getting geeky every week with people from Pittsburgh in the industry. Go check us out, awesomecast.net, or listen to us right here on River's Edge Radio, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. after Funny Money.
Some people have really shitty names, like really bad names. There's a guy up for KDKA whose name is Stacy. And he's like the most manly guy
I
on
love Stacey
KDKA.
for a man. That's not a...
That's a girl's name. I'm sorry.
Oh my
I think it's nice.
It's 2017. You can be whoever you want to be.
Well, Stacy's cool. He's a very good anchor, and it's just funny because he's got like the mustache, and he just seems like a regular guy, but his name is Stacy. So I imagine like he probably had a hard time, growing up with a name like Stacy. There was a kid of a teacher where I went to school who was named after a color, and it was really kind of stupid too.
Which color?
I can't remember what color. It was like navy, like turquoise or something. I don't know. It was like really stupid.
Navy turquoise.
Something like that. Yeah, it was like 2 colors in one. Really awful. And some people have really, really bad names, and you have to think like, was your father, was your mother, was your adoptive whatever, were they drunk when they named you? Like, come on. And this poor girl, and she's young enough. I don't know. I don't know if this existed, but her name is Alexa Siri.
That's awesome.
And she says it's like living in a nightmare. Her exact quote says, her life is a walking nightmare.
Waking.
Oh, a waking nightmare. Okay, I'm trying to read again. So, in the beginning, when Siri came out, I got it all the time, she said. I introduced myself with my last name, and people would always tie it to that. She said it got worse in 2015 when Amazon released its Echo device, which had a Siri-type helper named Alexa. She says, it started off at work. It would be, Siri, do this, Siri, do that. And now they do the same thing with Alexa. Mostly people just say, haha, I'm telling you what to do. And I'm like, okay, that's a new one. That would be a crappy name.
Oh, man.
What's the worst name you've ever heard?
I toured.
Doug.
Doug? Why Doug?
It's just a bad name.
What about Douglas, the full name?
Yeah, I like Douglas better.
Makes it sound like someone with no Doug. He's Douglas.
Sounds like somebody without
Yeah,
zhuzh.
that makes sense. That's why it's a good name. You're without the Doug.
There you go.
So you're saying like Douglas has a lot of zhuzh, and you're saying Doug has lost his
no
zhuzh.
zhuzh.
Yeah.
When
no
I
zhuzh.
was in a puppet troupe touring the country, there was a young woman named America in our troupe. Her parents had legally named her that. And
Her first name?
Her first name was
Wow.
America. And she hated introducing herself. And I watched this over the course of a month, probably 70 times. And this was just, hi, my name's America. Is that your real name? Yes, that is my real name. Wow, why'd your parents name you that? Every interaction that this human being had started in first disbelief and then like weird familial interrogation.
Wow. So I had a friend, or actually it's not a friend, he's my uncle, and this isn't a bad name. It's actually a very convenient name. His name is John Johns.
John Johns.
Yeah, that's his name.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, it's a very easy name to remember. Now, here's a story. Do either of you know what my real name is?
Is Brian your middle name?
Beecroft.
No. No, that's not it.
Ryan.
That's your new nickname, though.
Not Ryan.
Yo, Beecroft.
I don't know. I didn't know
Nobody
you
knows?
had a different name.
I had a different name. So, originally, my original name was Brian Crawford.
Because typo or?
Because well...
They had a feeling?
Well,
about
no.
you.
I mean, I was named Brain at birth due to my superior intelligence.
Your mom was mad that your head was so big.
Huge Animaniacs fan.
And in an effort that one day I fit in with the plebes of modern society, my name had been changed to Brian. My parents thought I would have a hard time because people just wouldn't be able to deal with someone as intelligent as I, so they renamed me Brian in an attempt that I would fit in. So thank you to them.
Did it work? Do you feel like you fit in?
I feel like it's hard because I'm always trying to bring myself down to everyone else's level. Mm-hmm. And then some people just don't get me. It's just my mind is just so beyond the average person. No, but seriously, my name was actually Brain.
Oh.
It was written down. And
That's awesome.
then it was corrected or
Do you have to
corrected.
legally do things about that, or you can just erase it and say, no, this is what I meant on the birth certificate?
I'm not sure because I was 0. So I'm not
You're
sure.
really smart.
I'm not, I was,
then.
but I was in a different plane of existence. I've struggled over the years to bring myself down to
And
everyone
to
else's
explain
level.
it to
Yeah.
us.
So, I was speaking at a level as a baby at a level that you just couldn't comprehend.
Have you ever seen Arrival or read the book?
I have not. no.
Okay. They
I don't watch anything really.
Oh.
So
Yeah. Well,
it's very
it's good.
very
You should
very
watch
weird.
it.
Yeah, I'll have to try.
I had a typo on an official document once. I got my passport, and they put that I was 3 years younger than I actually was.
Nice.
My birthday is in 1983, and they had it listed as 86. And every time I would go to the Canadian border, they would look at my passport, and they just ask you in like a formal kind of way. They're like, "Is all the information like? Is this your birthday? Is this your name?" They ask
Yeah.
you. And every time I kind of had to decide whether to be like lie to them. And if they check any other form of ID, it's not going to match up. Or be like, no, there's fictitious information on my passport. And so every time I went to Canada was this kind of ass clench, like, yes, that is my birthday. Please don't ask to see anything else kind of moment.
It's much harder to get into Canada than it is the United States. That I will say. I remember
You mean,
going
like,
to
as
Canada
an American? Or
as an American.
Well, they can't deny you.
But here's what I'm saying. Okay, so I went to Canada sometime after 9/11, and when we went into Canada, they're drilling us, they're quizzing us, they're looking over everything. What are you here for, you Yankee? So I get in. On my way back to the United States, I tried to hand the lady at the gate my ID, and she's like, we don't need that. Just go ahead in. And that was it. So what do you have coming up? That's a true story.
I honestly, I don't have any shows booked until May. Well, I guess I had a wonderful time at the Brillo Box on Tuesday. Gab Benesso hosts a monthly
Yes, you
show
said
there
that.
I will definitely be at probably every month from here on in. Because
He's so funny.
we both had a wonderful time.
I will be helping the Mike Sasson Show set up tonight for the St. Paddy's Drunk and Irish Throwdown. Doors open at 5 p.m. at Cativo. And like I said, the Mike Sasson Show will be there. If you're not a fan of Mike's show, which you're crazy if you're not, come to see me because it'll be a chance to brush with greatness. Also, tomorrow, Zhuzh. It is happening, believe it or not. It's tomorrow. This show starts at 10 p.m. and they're doing a $5 requested donation. All proceeds benefit the Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council. And you can find out more about the Literacy Council at gplc.org. Also, don't forget St. Paddy's Bingo. That is March 22nd, 7 p.m. I am back tomorrow, and we have a special guest in studio, the first producer that I ever had, Jared Sofranco. He will be in studio to talk about the WCAL lock-in fundraiser down at my old college station, 91.9. I'm Brian Crawford. I am back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. right here at riversedgepgh.com.